1946, when he wrote Mein Kampf, and when he wrote his second book, was already very, very familiar with Zionism, and he writes in Mein Kampf about Zionism, and he writes about Herzl, because Zionism actually predates Zionism, a racist, expansionist, nationalist theory inspired by fascism, predates Hitler. All right? So this is another. I want to finish with something that I want you to think about. History supposed to tell us about the past. It never does. History, in most cases, is an institutional system that is set to conceal our shame. Jewish history is there to conceal the fact the Jews, everywhere they went, they got into trouble. It's very embarrassing. Bernard Lazare wrote a beautiful book about it in the late 19th century. 75 cities, they were kicked out. They're bringing it on themselves in America as we speak. Zionism was the beginning of a new story for the Jews in Palestine. Look where they are now. They are the most hated people in the region. One day the Arabs will stop killing each other and they will go for them. Jewish history is concealment of this issue. Palestinians' history. 100 years they achieved nothing. They conceal it with a lot of crap. In Britain, we have one Brit here. In Britain, we have a beautiful museum. It's called the Imperial Wars Museum. Beautiful tanks. Oh, I love it. They have one floor dedicated to genocide. Now, the Brits, they have so many genocides to choose from. You know, guess what? They dedicated the floor to the Holocaust. What the Holocaust has to do with the British Imperial Museum? It's called the floor of concealment. 2 months ago, I gave lectures in Germany and in Japan. From Germany to Japan, kind of. And the Germans, and as well the Japanese, they asked me, so what do we conceal? And I told them, you conceal the fact that you're actually very nice people. If the Germans accept that they are very nice people, the system collapses. Because everything is built on concealment, on guilt. Now, why do I go there? Because if history is concealment, it means that it is shaped like unconsciousness.
Like what?
Like unconsciousness. Like the unconscious mind. And if it's shaped like unconscious, the job of the historian is similar to the job of the psychoanalyst. He has to scrap the crap and to reveal the truth. And this is a very complicated thing. This is what I try to do. Now, instead of doing that, we have invented a new progressive lefty Guardian, like the English, the Guardian-like philosophy. New history, inoffensive history. We have history that teaches us how to go in zigzag, not to touch anything. And this is what we have with the Palestinians. This is what we have with Jewish history. And this is, again, another manifestation of concealment imposed on us by political correctness-like ideology. And this is where our problem starts. When I worked on this issue recently, I compared between, and this is interesting for you, between Django, Tarantino, that was opposed by some black genius filmmaker like Spike Lee, and the filthy Lincoln made by Spielberg man. Spielberg, within the pretense of a historical narrative, covers us with so much bullshit.
Yes.
It is incredible to see how much crap he delivers there in this film. And a complete diversion of anything that looks like truth. Tarantino, on the other end, presents a completely fictional narrative. There is no Django. In the end of the film, he makes it very clear this was a fantasy when he rides with the horse, and he won. It's a fantasy. But this fantasy brings in the ultimate form of white racism that took place in, did you see the film? In the South. It asks questions about being subservient. And he resolved it within the film. Through the fiction, through the poetry, through the unreal, we touch the essence of the human condition. And this is what we have to do with Palestine, with America, with ourselves. We have to start to learn to touch ourselves. This is something that we don't do. Progressive is a form of concealment. The opposite of progressive is being an essentialist. A person who asks, what is the essence of things? A person who can look at a pen and through the essence of pen can understand the entire universe. This is what German philosophy was all about. And for that reason, rather than being a progressive, I define myself as a self-loving, reactionary essentialist. A proud one. And I think that once you allow yourself to start to think, every word that you pronounce, what does it mean? Colonialism. Is it colonialism? Every word is thrown you. Racism. Racism. I know that you are obsessed with racism. Obsessed. Every time I meet you, it comes along. And I want to upset him now. He's a friend of mine and I'm going to upset him.
Feel free.
You are going to be upset.
No, not from you.
Because I'm working on it. If I'm wrong, you have to shout. We will fight after.
Yeah.
Racism. We are all obsessed with racism. My parents' generation, my grandmother's generation, they really thought in racist terms. They said, oh, he's an Arab, he's black. They really thought of the blood. But nowadays, do we think in terms of blood? There is definitely discrimination, serious discrimination. We did nothing to resolve discrimination. We definitely have cultural intolerance, deeply. But is it racism? Is it biology? Do we think about genes? I say no. So why do we talk about racism? Because racism is the only thing that maintains the relevance of the left. So the left maintains racism in order to maintain its relevance. And again, we don't deal with the real issue. And the real issue is every discrimination that is based on culture. So once again, we are spiraling down, shooting in the wrong direction, thanks to the progressive system that is there to make us into blind and lame. Essentialism. This is the way forward.